The following is a presentation of Playfly Sports Properties and Michigan State Sports Properties. Well, hello and good evening. It is Thursday, December 14th, 2023. Welcome to the only show about Spartan Dawgs, hosted by Spartan Dawgs. This is Sparta MSU. I'm your host, Jason Strayhorn, along with my co-host, the boss, Otis Wiley. Jehuu couldn't make it today. He's busy doing what Jehuu does, but that's okay. If this is your first time watching the show, we want to welcome you to the show. If this is not your first time, we honor you and thank you for your loyalty. It means an incredible amount to all of us here at This is Sparta MSU. Please click the like and subscribe buttons and let us know where you're watching from. And don't forget to follow us on all of our social medias at This is Sparta MSU. Otis, we're going to get into a little bit of basketball today. We have to do that. We have a special guest for the show that is former Hooper, understands the game inside now, the guard, understands this thing. So MSU basketball now sits at 4-5 after a loss this past weekend and on Sunday to Nebraska. The next game against number 6 Baylor in LCA. It's going to be on Fox on Saturday. That's the Little Caesars Arena for those who are listening in downtown Detroit. Yeah,
this is a good opportunity. We did obviously have our football game, our last home game in Detroit. We're showing the MSU strong ties in Detroit and the brand, right? So to have basketball tip off at 2:00 at LCA and then have the Lions play after for Saturday night. I mean, it's going to be a great jam-packed, eventful night for anybody going downtown and going to Detroit. I'm still thinking of going more so to enjoy the festivities and Christmas that downtown Detroit has to offer.
Yeah.
But taking the family there, but we'll see. But I can't wait to kind of deep dive on, later down on the show with one of our former guys, Baller out there out of Flint Town. Can't wait to dive in on that.
Baller out of Flint Town. Got to love that. We got to go break down the matchup with Baylor. I know that it's going to be one heck of a matchup. You're talking about a top 10 program in the NCAA, but also looking at where Michigan State sits in basketball, because everybody knows about the streak, the postseason streak, and at 4-5 right now, it's go time. So we're definitely going to get into that as we continue throughout the show. Jonathan Smith on the football side. Let's get back to the gridiron. Lands his first commitment with running back, 3-star running back, Maki Frazier, verbal commit out of Texas.
We already know getting commits out of Texas to come here to East Lansing it's a huge feat. Like, it's tough to get them out of that. A lot of schools down there, down south in Texas, for them to select and choose from. I looked at this guy's film and we talked about this offline 2 nights ago. We talked about this guy shows elite talent on both sides of the ball. I'm more looking at his ability to play on the outside linebacker standpoint, because what he looks like in coverage for us, as we saw this past season, we didn't have the most astute or most talented pass coverage from a standpoint from the linebacker mid-level. And for him to come in, I mean, he's covering wheel routes. He knows, obviously, the offensive because he's a running back, but he also impresses me of going north-south on his runs. Running, being a running back. So, Coach Smith, he's making noise. He's only been here not even 10 business days, really. If you think about it, it's been so quick, so turnaround that he's making noise. And you see some of the other stuff that he's getting guys, the official visits, which I know we'll cover as well. But this is a huge get to have a commitment. Now, we already know he's not signed, still delivered yet. He may still climb. But this is a huge gift for Coach Smith and the new staff.
Without question, Mackay, if that's your name, Mackay, I believe so. Mr. Frazier originally committed to Oregon State. So this is, to be, committed as the staff has now taken the commitments that they had in Oregon and moving them over. He committed back May 9th of this year, but he decommitted on December 1st when Coach Smith took the job at Michigan State. He's a guy who has committed to MSU over the likes of Arkansas, Mizzou, Minnesota, and Boise State, along with Oregon State, obviously. So this is a talented individual. And you're talking about the state of Texas that you just put, Otis. I mean, there's so much talent in the state of Texas. So look forward to talking more about him in depth as signing day approaches just a week from now.
No, this is a huge testament to players are committing and selecting their schools with the coaching staff that they trust, clearly. Mm-hmm. And this is a huge testament to our new running backs coach coming over and saying, hey, I'm going to the green and white. You can keep your commitment, or do you want to come and start a new foundation and start an uplift in a program that's Big Ten country? I think that's a huge testament to the loyalty, but also the relationship that our new running backs coach has built in order to have him flip and come over to the green and white. So that's good. That's a good testament, Spartan Nation, knowing that these coaches have great relationships with these young players to make that flip. So,
absolutely. Speaking of guys who still have ties to Oregon State and their position coach has now moved on to Michigan State, tight end Wyatt Hook, a 3-star who was originally also committed to Oregon State, has now committed to the Spartans. Tight end out of California, 3-star, a big get for the Spartans.
Yeah, when you say he was like recruiting class ranked, what, 84th?
That's the current class as it stands
the current
right
class
now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a huge task at hand of taking over a program this late, I think, right? Like, it's with recruiting nowadays, it's late. So for us to put together a class with all the things that have happened and all the people that have hit the transfer portal currently on the roster, we have Malik Carr in the portal. So we have to bring in, like you said, this fresh talent. And I mean, from the looks, he looks the part from a tight end standpoint. And you just got to see, like, hey, he's going to come over and transition very well. I'm looking to see more great things and more names added to this quickly, because they are on the hunt aggressively right now. Can you imagine going right now in people's rooms and living rooms right now? Like, you got to come in with your best, like your best at this state of recruiting and this time. You got to come in with your best offer, or you're going to appreciate you coming and spending time with us. We'll think about it, get back to you. And that offer was weak, or this is a strong offer. So, you got to go win the hearts and minds with one visit and a call,
It's literally closing time. It's time for that right
Mm-hmm.
now. So in living rooms all across the United States, this coaching staff is making those home visits right now. Obviously, Wyatt Hook is one of those guys from Homestead High School out of Cupertino, California. Number 72nd tight end in the country right now, ranked. But I'm going to tell you one thing about the rankings. This staff has a knack for finding diamonds in the rough, something that Michigan State is used to in years past.
Yeah. Okay. We're talking about a brick by brick. We're talking about blue collar state, getting back to the DNA. Like, they are guys that are hungry. Like, I'm not saying there's entitlement with the star. Like, there comes an entitlement there is. There comes entitlement. Now, you got a guy who's hungry, maybe overlooked in these 3 stars, but has the talent with development and coaching to come and be great, outstanding players for the green and white. I love it. I love it to the point of, like, this is going to be embraced. This is the philosophy. There are great talent out there that get overlooked because of these stars mostly, right? And then it's like, this is where I'm loving it right now. I'm loving it. So I'm loving it. Just all I can say. Hey,
you love that?
I'm loving it.
I mean, you're talking about a guy, a 6'6", 235 pounds, 3-star. So he has the measurables, seeing his official visit pictures, and he was hanging out with a lot of the other commits for Michigan State on their official visit this past weekend. He looks the part. I mean, he passes what we call the eye test. So I'm excited to see him get on campus, get him signed, then see if he gets in here early, and so we can take a look at him and get him developed, man, and then retain him, because of all the portal stuff that's going on in the world today. Looking at the current class, as you brought up a minute ago, Otis, Michigan State ranks 84th in the nation right now, with early signing day coming up on the 20th of this month. The former classes for Mel Tucker for MSU, the last 4 seasons. In 2020, he was ranked 48th, 21, 45th, 2022, 26th, and then peaking out in last year's class at 22nd overall is something that Michigan State can kind of gauge the ranking. But again, when you're looking for diamonds in the rough and you have the ability to develop, maybe that doesn't matter all that much. Otis, there's a lot of flips happening this weekend. There's commitments going on, and there's also new official visits. There's obviously a lot of noise nationally about the Georgia commit, Dylan Raiola, who has been pegged. He was at Ohio State originally, and then he's at Georgia now. He's committed to Georgia, but over the last 48 hours, there's been a lot of talk of him flipping his commitment to Nebraska, where his father and his uncle actually coaches there now. His father played there, Dominic Raiola of the Detroit Lions, offensive lineman. He's got quarterback, they're down at Buford, Georgia right now. So everyone in Georgia is in an uproar right now because of this flip. But because of this, it's a chain reaction that's happening. There is a Nebraska quarterback commit, Daniel Kaelin, that is now set to come to MSU for an official visit on Friday. So there's a little bit of a musical chair situation happening with the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I can't keep up. I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't keep up. What is that? Obviously it's influencing us of, him seeing Michigan State as an opportunity, a value to, hey, since they're gonna go out and get someone and commit in my place, like I should be, if I'm the quarterback in this class, I should be the only one, if that's maybe his viewpoint. But I don't know anything really about this kid coming. But for him to set his official visit, already being committed to Matt Rule and team, kind of shows like, hey, I feel like not disrespected, so I'm going to see and test the waters and see if there's opportunity for me. But I feel like there's still going to be some more developments on our side that needs to be shored up. But we also have no scholarship quarterbacks coming back, so we are depleted, and we need to go ahead and get some guys in here. So I look forward to getting a little bit more deep dive on his talent, what he brings to the table for our next show, to kind of say, hey, hopefully it's a great visit this weekend.
Yes.
And so we'll see.
I think that's a big point right there, that, making sure that he's feeling welcomed into East Lansing on an official visit, because when you look at the news of the flips and things that are happening, the transfer portal is also a topic of discussion with Nebraska at the position of quarterback. When you have Kyle McCord, the quarterback from Ohio State, who's been crystal balled to go to Nebraska. And so Nebraska's looking at bringing on a starter, in the Ohio State starter, and the number 1 quarterback in the 2024 class at the same time. The NIL over there, I mean, you're talking ridiculous numbers for Matt Rule and company to be able to pull this off. But hey, one man's trash is another's treasure when it comes to what Michigan State may be able to do to benefit from that kind of high dollar fallout, with a guy like Daniel Kaelin maybe falling into the lap of Michigan State here, along with Aiden Childs. We ain't forgot about you, Aiden. That's the one that everybody's waiting on, that announcement. So we're all sitting here with bated breath. Everybody waiting on what's going to happen with the quarterback room in Michigan State.
It's crazy how quickly the quarterbacks have answered the call when Matt Rule goes on a press conference and talks about, to get a top quarterback is going to cost $1 to $2 million. And then all of a sudden you're getting a number 1 quarterback from Ohio State starter, and then Raiola, like, clearly strategic for him to get the investments of that donor base of the Cornhusker Fund. So now I know we tried to do that, and then I don't know if it backfired or it just didn't hit. But
we just haven't done it yet. We're getting there. We're getting there. We had a people. Yeah. Speaking of that, we got to get into some basketball talk when Tim Bograkos joins us after these messages from our friends over at IHOP and SeatGeek.
IHOP and Wonka are dreaming up a magical new menu. Magnificently mouth-watering items like Wonka's perfectly purple pancakes, the fantastical Wonka burger, and of course, Hover Chalk pancake tacos. Every good thing in this world started with a dream, and now this one is a reality. Only at IHOP. Try the new Wonka menu for a limited time. Kids eat free from 4 to 10 p.m. And see Wonka, only in theaters December 15th.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the High Five Strangers guy. Game-winning interception? First down? Just a nice, solid tackle. If you're in arm's length, you will be swapping skin with this extrovert. You see, he knows SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.
Everybody dropping those stacks and those tickets. We got to love it. Now it is time for the man of the hour. MSU guard from 2000 to 2005, Tim Bograkos joins. This is Sparta MSU. Welcome to the show, Timmy.
Oh, what's up, boys? I didn't know you had an IHOP sponsorship. This is here. I mean, geez. Throw me a couple coupons or something.
Hey, we got you.
Right down the street.
Look, it's a trigger promotion, man. You remember the tacos? We got hit 70 points.
Yeah. 70 points get you tacos.
Now 70 points gets you free stacks. So
I did see that at the game. I think at the last game I went to. So
yeah. So go ahead and get them. And hey, breakfast is fire. You know,
bad breakfast is on you.
Yes, absolutely. We're meeting. Yep, it's on me. Man, appreciate you, Timbo, coming, man. It's been a long time. Obviously, I've seen you since I've been back in East Lansing working here. But we wanted to obviously bring a former player on that has lived it, breathed it, under coach, and in talking about this year's team, of all the the expectations were very high. I know you've been through some dog years and like working in some successful years as a player. And so who not best to come in and give us an inside look of just from a former mindset. Obviously, we're former football players, so we can talk football day and out.
Yeah.
And, we always think football, we're always hoopers, and then you always think y'all football players. So let's just bring somebody in that can hoop, that can hoop. So
I did do a basketball practice in football pads. So I was one of the lucky ones who got to do that.
Yeah. So let's touch on that. That's a good transition. So before the Northwestern game, coach goes up, and talks and has the little statement quote about, I'm going to get back to the roots and I'm not going to, stop listening to everybody and the lawyers and all that. What does that mean? Knowing Coach Izzo, knowing the relationship you've built and had with him, what does that mean with this team they're going through the pains right now? What does that mean?
Well, I think it probably is a little different than it was when I played. But it means, I think he's going to try to get back to what kind of the core of what the program was built on a practice standpoint, right? And that's kind of creating a competitive, physical, high intense practice environment. Because that's what the Big Ten. You guys same as football. That's what the Big Ten is. And when your practices are hard and intense and they become harder than what the games are, it normally translates into better basketball. So I'm assuming there was a lot of defensive drills, and seeing that we've been up late in games and haven't been able to close them out, right? There's a skill to being able to win the last 4 minutes of a game and put it away that, you have to learn to win games. I don't think people realize that, like it's being all the things, managing your emotions and the stress and the environment, but there is a skill to learning to put games away down the stretch. And sometimes, you got to do it in practice so it can translate over.
You talk about that to me when you're saying how practices were in your day. So describe what those physical practices look like.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, they're still physical. I don't see as many. I see a couple practices a year. I'll take my son over there and we'll watch practice just so he can see it. But it is when you step between the white lines on the court, you are just really trying to destroy the person across from you in a fashion of you're either trying to score on them every time you get it, you're trying to stop them, you need to get every rebound. And it's going to be a dogfight. And I've probably, like you guys, I've seen, there's fights in practice. I've seen coach fight, nose to nose with people. I've seen players fight. And he loves that stuff. Like, he relishes it, but it's, it was really, that was kind of how things were built prior to even me getting to Michigan State. Was like, this is how practices are. We have to make it harder than the game. So then when the tough times come in the season, we can rely back on it. Because it's hard to find toughness if you don't practice being tough. Like, everyone's not inherently tough, right? Like, there's not always.
You got to train. Some people got to train to be tough. Absolutely.
Right. We've all had teammates who aren't tough guys, but they can learn to be tough in those scenarios in their own way. But it's got to be a everyday thing.
Yeah. You ever seen the movie 300?
Yeah.
Kids,
I just tried to get. My wife, she just told my son, like, I think you're at the age where you need to watch 300. So it's on he's 12. So
there's a Spartan wife right there.
Yeah.
So
she was a better athlete than I was.
Yeah, and I look, Jess. Look, I know Jess. Y'all both are competitive, and so for Mama Bear to say, Jess, to be like, "Hey, son, I'm seeing some signs here." It's tired.
No, it's fun though with his, with kids that he's just figuring it out himself, because he's not an inherently like tough kid, but he's a competitive kind of, and he's getting more physical. So now he's starting to learn how to be tough and to manage that, like, emotions and, like, in games, and people are talking trash to him, and so it's fun to see it happen, and kind of that growth as he's a sixth grader now. So I'm just kind of sitting back and watching it happen.
Yeah, that's the perfect age right there.
Yeah.
Man, like, Tim, talk about like, you watching the games too. Like,
yeah,
I've seen a lot of our former players, friends of the basketball program, and some have different perspectives of, like, what's happening. Some have different, like, it's give or take here. It's kind of 50-50. From you experiencing and seeing basketball for a lot of years, like, what you already mentioned about closing games, but what are some other elements of the game that we have to get back to that winning culture of, like, what are you seeing in games other than closing the deal, and what are you seeing?
Yeah, and I think, I think we're close. I just think there's like, being able to close games is a big one. To me, there's a little lack of cohesion on the court, and sometimes it looks like there's just five guys playing and they're trying to get it to Tyson, and hopefully he makes a tough shot to score. So I'd like to get some early easy buckets for him, so he's not working so hard. It's kind of like getting your quarterback to throw a 5-yard out, right, to get him find a rhythm. Like, we got to get these guys shots that help them find rhythm. When I played, we scripted the first 5 or 6 plays for certain guys to get them into positions to score baskets they were comfortable with. And so I think it's kind of like finding easy buckets for guys to get them going. If you'd have told me we scored 70 points and we wouldn't win against Nebraska the other night, I would have told you you're crazy, right? But there's, and we didn't play too bad. There's just, it's just the 1 or 2 possessions that we're either not finishing it with a rebound or, we're missing some shots. And so I think it's getting into a rhythm earlier, and then, putting more guys in positions for a little easier buckets to start games. And then, I agree with like, we've got to get, I think when Kohler comes back, and we get a little bit more production, maybe out of the center position, because that's hard on the guards. When, if Tyson's getting a pick and roll and the defense is looking at, Coop or Maddie, and they're saying, well, I know he's not throwing it to that guy. There's just 2 guys that are guarding him. So it's that kind of stuff. I don't think we're not far off. It's just, we're just, we're not used to being 4-5. I was on the last team, I think they went 4-5. So I know kind of what they're going through. So it's it'll be fun.
What was the end result? What was the end result of that
we barely snuck into the tournament. We weren't as good as this team though. We were a lot of young guys. There were a lot of like freshmen, sophomore. We were a short bench, young team that kind of grinded our way into the tournament that year. I think we got enough wins to qualify, and then the Tom Izzo effect helped. And they were like, "Yeah, we can't leave them out of the tournament, right?" So it's, but I mean, this weekend's gonna be a tough game. You're playing a top 10 Baylor team they beat everybody by double digits. They score a lot of points. They're good defensively. And then, I think we got a stretch of games coming up where a lot of them are winnable. We'll figure it out. It's just not as pretty as we had expected right now, because we were in the top 5 to start the season.
Now, was that the team that you were on that went on a 15-game win streak? Is that?
I don't think so. I don't think that year. No, I don't think we won. No.
There's a lot of talk about that too. Now, when you brought it up, you touched on it. The front court play. You talk about the center position and how Cooper and Marty they're not going to throw it to them on the pick and roll. What is the issue going on from your perspective as a guard? And you have those two guys who seem to kind of plateau from last year's development wise, and then you have people on the bench that people are fans are just like, why aren't we just making moves and changing up the rotation right now? What's your thought on that?
Yeah. So I know your reference. Why isn't Booker playing more? Right.
There we go.
Right. That's the elephant in the room with everybody. Why isn't Booker playing more? And I with Coop and Maddie, I think they're playing within the system right now, the way that they're being asked to play. It's just not comfortable for really either one of them to get down on the post and to get a ball and take 2 dribbles very often and make a move. And some of it, they're might be a confidence thing with them. Maybe, they're not, they're catching the ball in weird situations or scenarios they're not going to stop and shoot a 15-footer. So it's, I think it's probably a little bit of a confidence issue. I would imagine Coach Izzo is riding them pretty hard about their play right now. And so that can have an effect. And then, the Booker thing, I would love to see him play too, but I also, without seeing practices, you never know how the transition for him has been to college, because the game is a lot quicker. There's a lot more to think about when you're in a Big Ten play versus in high school. There's reads, there's coverages, there's defense, there's offensive sets, there's all this thing. And I read it, I've heard he's working hard in practice. He's coming along and Iz said we're going to play him going forward, but he's still going to go out there and make freshman mistakes, and he's going to miss some coverages and do some things. So, it's not like Booker's not going to step on the court and all of a sudden be the big man savior I think we're looking for. But I'm excited about watching him play and his development. In the games I've been to, he does good things, he does bad things, but it's everybody at this point, right? And there's no one's playing flawless yet. But he's going to need someone to be able to cover up some of his mistakes for him, though. So that's where I think lineups will make a difference for how Book's playing. Guards are going to have to probably cover up, and it'll be interesting to see, but I'm excited.
It sounds a lot like, Otis, in football, when you have a hot shot like running back that just doesn't do well in pass protection, right? So, everybody's like, why isn't he out on the field more often? And it's like, well, you'll get your quarterback.
He's one-dimensional. He's one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Booker's going to have to ball screen coverages, help side defense, pick and pop, it's all that stuff. It's like Otis trying to play man to man.
Hey, let's go. Let's go right now. Let's go. No, let's go back to your roots though. Playing it out in Flint. Like, people don't realize, growing up, basketball in Flint was the gym. It was standing room only. You may not get in and watching these games, and you grew up. You're in the heart. You're in the heart. Talk about just growing up, and your pops, obviously Mr. Bograkos, heavy ties with Michigan State, but just talk about selecting Michigan State when you came out to come play at the collegiate level?
Yeah, I got lucky because my grandfather was the athletic director at my high school when I was young, when I was 2, 3. So I grew up in the gym at Flint Central watching these games. Just as I kind of went through it, like I watched Antonio Smith and Mateen. I watched them all in high school. So I got to experience it and the excitement that they built, and there's so many players that people have never even heard of that were unbelievable, and there were so many guys that were unbelievable that just weren't eligible to play. It was just a fun experience to be a part of, and I think it really helped kind of build that you had to show up every day and tie them up tight and get ready to go, because you weren't sure who was who on the court, but you knew it was going to be tough. And that was if you were playing a high school game, if you were at the park, if you were at the Y, if you were anywhere there, you knew there was a tough game. And so I think, just being a part of that and a part of Flint, it's that's the foundational piece for me. Was it kind of gave me that grit and that kind of gravel in my gut a little bit to know how to just compete and go after it and win, lose, or draw. And then, coming out of high school, I actually didn't have any offers at all coming out of high school. I had a couple walk-on offers in basketball. One was at Kent State and then Michigan State. And then I toyed around. I met with Bobby Williams about walking on for football. Me and Sean Poole. Sean came and played left tackle for us. Yeah. Sean was my best friend, right? So we were high school teammates. We came on we came official visits together for football. And so I met with Bobby on that. And then, but when I probably would have done that but then basketball, the opportunity came up. And so I decided to go the basketball route instead of being a walk-on and getting my head blasted in every day by football guys on practice. I'd have been like number 117. And then you guys would have just been tearing my helmet off every day. Yeah. Scout team. Yeah. I'd have just been wrecked. So I started, actually my senior year in high school, I started to drive down with my high school basketball coach, Stan Gooch, and I would come play open gym 2-3 times a week whenever they were playing. And that's kind of how it turned into my opportunity. He knew Iz real well and just said, hey, I think he can help you, whether it's just practice player or not. And so they said, yeah, come on down as a preferred walk-on, and the rest is history. And I redshirted a year. After my freshman year, we had 7 guys leave. We had 5 seniors and 2 guys go pro. So I had to play. We had a short bench. I had to put me in. And so I got to play. And then I kind of found my role and never looked back.
Interesting background. You talk about your days at Flint Central. Okay. Yeah. So you saw Mateen and all the Flintstones. Is that what they kind of somebody you idolized as a youngster?
Oh, absolutely. I love it. I was
straight. Look, you gotta get straight. You gotta get straight education, man. Like,
well, let me know. I'm not a Flint guy. You both are.
You got Flint Northern. You got Flint Central. You got Southwestern. And 3, I mean, either you go to one of those 3.
So Northern was our big rival, right? Okay. Central and Northern were rivals. So there was a guy at Central named Max Scott who was a guard who could play, and he would always battle with Mateen. So I was a Max Scott guy because of Flint Central, but I loved Mateen. I mean, Mateen and Antonio and those guys. And then I played against Charlie one year in high school. But we were all part of the same AAU organization too. So like, when I was like 10 or 11, Charlie all our parents let Charlie babysit us in a hotel in Florida one year. So
seriously?
All the parents, they went out, they let Charlie watch a group of us. Yeah. That's and awesome. Charlie, he was maybe 15.
Man.
Yeah, maybe 15.
Young Charlie Bill.
Yeah. So that's how far it kind of goes back. But I did. I showed up to campus and they used to sell Flintstone t-shirts with all the guys on it. My freshman year, I had one of those. I wore it to like in the weight room one day, and they made fun of me so bad because they're like, Charlie's on the t-shirt. He's still on the team. You can't wear that shirt. But, yeah.
Now you go to the graduate, they're everywhere in the
I know.
They sure are, man.
Now look, Spartan Nation, I know like in the chat, they are probably going to be they are asking, talk about the shot. Like, talk about the shot.
The sixth option. The sixth option on the floor shot. Yeah. Okay.
Now look, and Timbo's not like, if you know Timbo, like Timo knew, like confidence is not a lacking skill set for my man. It's like,
what are you talking about? It's like a fishing story too. It gets better every year. Every time someone asks me about it, I guess this is a bet. Yeah, no, dude, it was awesome. I'll be honest. The funny thing is, I wouldn't have been on the court except Calvin Torbert got a concussion that game, early in that game. He took an elbow to the head, and he got hurt. And so I ended up playing like 25 minutes that game or something like that. And I would guarantee you I wouldn't have been on the court if he was healthy. Yeah. And I just happened to, like, he got hit early, and I came on and I played well, defensively and doing my thing. I had a tip-in basket early in that game. And so to this day, I guarantee I wouldn't have been on the court if he was healthy. And even like Maurice Aguirre was on the team, and he was just coming back from a stress fracture. So he was limited then too. So I don't think he was on the court for that play either. So it's just dumb luck. And I mean, I'm standing in the corner, and, Chris Hill's up on top of me, and Adam Ballinger. I mean, so they run to those shooters, obviously, and they just leave me open. And I could see this shot clock. I could hear our bench counting it down. And I figured I'll get a shot up. And if I miss, we'll get time for a rebound, right? There's time for offensive rebound, maybe get another set. And I just caught it, and, caught it in rhythm. Good shot, knocked it down. Izzo, dogs me in the press conference, but that's funny. I think people probably thought he was like joking. Like that was an honest answer for him. Like if they had a camera on him, I'm sure he was like, do not shoot this ball.
Oh, absolutely, brother.
And then he just
No.
Yeah, exactly. In his head, he was going, no. Yeah. I still tell him I made him what he is today because of that shot. I said, you never beat them until I showed up.
This is true.
Facts.
Yeah. He said he has a couple of things to say back to me about that. But
I mean, so this is against Kentucky down in Rupp Arena.
Yeah.
And you were able to knock down the three to knock down Kentucky, who was dominant at that time. I think we've got somebody backstage that wants to join in with this discussion. I think Chu's available. Bring him on up.
Lordy, Lord. Look at him.
Oh, baby.
I had to say what's up to my guy. I couldn't let Timbo without coming jumping in. And I had to rearrange some stuff, but geez.
Holy smoke. I'm glad you could make it for the last like 4 minutes. Had to rearrange some stuff. He didn't rearrange anything. He came for the football talk. He's like,
ain't nothing changed.
I'm so busy.
I'm busy, man. Busy like you, Timbo.
Yeah. What's up?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Just, telling lies and stories.
Yeah, that's what we all do. That's what we all do.
Yeah.
We were actually we lived right next to you for like a hot minute there, in that little townhouse area there. Remember that?
Yeah. A few years ago.
Yeah. We had Tim, and he was one of those partiers, and we had to keep going to him.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
You were calling noise complaints.
Oh yeah, noise complaints. Yeah. Jehu's such a rule follower, and noise complaints.
Hey, he probably's like, I'm a good Catholic boy.
Yeah. I would never do that.
No, this is awesome, man. So that story right there, like, talk about your experience with Tom Izzo and that team and how it prepared you for life after basketball.
Yeah, I think Coach is so good at kind of taking that long-term view of like, hey, you guys aren't, most of you guys aren't going pro, right? So like, what are these lessons we can learn and kind of instill in you that you can carry on with you and share now. Like I share some of this stuff with my son as he's coming up with my daughter, and just the work ethic and the understanding of setting the standard and then living up to that standard and not sacrificing the work or your involvement beyond that. So he's been unbelievable. I mean, he's been a great kind of person to bounce ideas off of and talk to throughout my life. If there's questions I have or just life things to talk about, he's not. He doesn't have short conversations. So if I have like an extra couple hours, I can sit down with him. It'll turn into a long conversation. But I've done it. My wife, who she coached softball at Michigan State for a while, she was thinking about whether she wanted to be a head coach, and I said, let's go talk to Iz. And he sat with her for 2.5 hours talking about pros and cons of what the head coaching would look like, what does she really want to do, and helping her kind of figure that out. So he's kind of been that constant. We always, I don't talk to him all the time, but I know when I see him, or if I need him, he's a phone call away.
So, and the family, it's serious, man. He's built one heck of a culture, and you're one of those guys that just kind of embodies the grit, determination, and overcoming all adversity. I mean, heck, we're still talking about the shot. I don't know, 20-something years later.
Keep talking about it. It might be. We're very close to 20 years to the day. It might. We're pretty close. It might.
That's
we're
crazy.
pretty close.
That's
but
crazy.
I think
you feel young.
I feel great. I feel great. I feel better than Jehuu and Otis do for sure, because they got they got hit a lot.
You're looking good though.
I feel good, man.
Yeah,
Hey, no, true. I told him was like, for the longest, Timbo, I didn't know you grew hair. Like, you always had the buzz cut.
Right.
Like, nobody. He's like, yeah, I did it. And I was like, I can't go back.
Can't go back. Yeah,
I've had some
hair back then. And then one year, I just decided I was going to shave my head like in the middle of the season. I don't know why. It was a group of us.
Is that because when Drew came? When Drew came in?
No, I was shaving my head before Drew was. I was shaving my head before he even got there. It was me and Jason Andreas were sitting in an apartment one night, and we were like, "Hey, let's shave our heads," and we just did it. Like we had no good reason to do it. It was like maybe it was in the summer. Like we just got, but I don't even know where we got clippers for. We just first cut right down the middle, like no turning back. And it was that was a college decision, man. Let's shave our. It's the middle of the summer. We're probably, in between workouts or something.
Mm-hmm.
You never got to go home, so it was like I was always on campus.
At the Chandler Crossing pool parties.
No. Chandler Cross, yeah. No, it was Capstone. I think Capstone was.
I do got to say though, something that we both have in common at Michigan State, we both had the number 30. So
I know.
Big shout out to the number 30 there.
I was so happy that you called me to see if you were allowed to wear it before you got. I never told you this. I was so honored that you wore it in honor of me. And your celebration, like it was like Timbo.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Everyone thought it was Choo Choo. Like, no, it was Timbo.
Timbo.
Yeah. It means a lot. Yeah. That's a little. Yeah. That's something people don't. They just haven't heard that story. But we go so far back.
This is gonna catch. I love it. It's gonna be like 30 because of
I can't wait. I hope it does catch somehow in some chat room somewhere. That's the rumor.
Who wore it?
It's true. Bob Knickerbocker called you and asked you if it was okay.
I don't know about you. I didn't even get to pick my number. They just handed me a jersey. And
Chu had a different.
Jayu's the only one.
Yeah, no. They didn't even know I was coming. Pruder was like, "Who are you?"
Who are you?
Like, he did. I swear to God. He said, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm." Then he walked on. He was like, and it was almost like he was mad at me. He rolled his eyes like, "Oh God! All right, here's your stuff.
There's another one. Here you go.
Here, fine."
He's mad.
I didn't have a jersey. I didn't have a name on my jersey my whole first season.
Oh my God.
I had a blank jersey under my warm-up. He was like, "You're never going to take that thing off, so don't worry about it." I was like,
"Really?"
Yeah, he said I had to earn my name on my jersey.
Don't even worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah. That was like that until like 2003. And then we had another walk-on who had to play we played Stanford. We had another walk-on, Brian Westrick, who had to play. And then Izzo was like, "Why is his name on his jersey?" They never happened to get after that.
Boy, Pruder's out here running his own operation.
I know. Yeah. Here, I'm telling you, nothing. I have that jersey somewhere. It's here somewhere with no name on the back. Actually, my mom might have it somewhere. She might have got my name sewn on it.
That's
Man.
awesome.
I know you got to jump to.
I got a few more time. I got a little more time. Yeah.
So as a former player, we always talk about name, image, and likeness, NIL, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the game of it is, if you don't got the best, you ain't gonna get the best recruits, and it doesn't affect the locker room. There's a lot of questions, but like, what's your take on NIL? And we always ask a really important question: if we had it back then, what would be your first deal?
Oh, great. What would have been what's my thoughts on it? I wish I understood it more than I do, outside of there's a lot of people that seem to be making a lot of money, right? And so I like the fact that people can benefit from their name, image, and likeness. I don't like the fact that I'm not certain that all the athletes are set up to handle it the best possible way. Like, if you were at 18 years old, if someone gave you $100,000, you are screwing all that money off. Like, it's gone, right? Like, I don't know enough about the back end, but like, I think the educational piece is important. I think there's at some point I don't know if they can rein it back in, because that horse is already out of the barn, right? So you got athletes that are, so-and-so's NIL value is $6 million. I don't know how you reel it back in, but I don't think there's no slowing it down, and there's no stopping, a player from being a free agent every year when there's that much cash involved. And my first deal, I don't know if I would have gotten a deal. Rick's All-American Cafe might have given me
you and Chew. You and Chew.
That's why we ordered number 30.
Yeah. Rick's might get,
we got Rick's
and You know what? I might have tried to get a deal at a golf course or something like that, right? Like Hawk Hollow or something like that. But
Rick's All-American.
Yeah. Rick's
you go
mac and cheese bites.
You visit Herm at Rick's with your NIL card.
Yeah.
And then when you're done, you go right to Ponchero's with
your
NIL card.
That would have been it right there. Like, yeah, I would have been thinking
taxi.
So small scale.
The Big Daddy taxi.
Big Daddy taxi.
I forgot about Big Daddy taxi.
Oh yeah, because there was no Uber.
Yeah. That would have been like a $400 NIL deal, and it covered you for the whole year of $2 taxi rides around East Lansing.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, the NIL stuff. I mean, you have the NCAA president now trying to put some guardrails. He's introduced new not legislation, but ideas of trying to limit, get all the schools to put money in themselves. Because right now it's kind of the wild, wild west. When you look at it, there is no school involvement, so to speak. So you have outside collectives and, agents that are, shopping kids around. I mean, that's what it is. It's free agency, and it's supposed to be, they only get the one move for free, right? You get that, you can go into the portal once, but once you do that and you transfer, you're supposed to be stuck until you graduate again. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like a lot of guys are doing that either. So guys or girls. So there's a lot of loopholes and things that people can do to get waivers from the NCAA. I know that we can go deep on that, but it is a wild, wild west show that's going on right now in regards to that. The transfer portal, NIL, everything. So.
The transfer portal, I think the transfer portal is a firsthand real world experience for people to understand where they sit in the pecking order of sports, right? You have a inflated sense of how good you really are until you put your name in that portal and realize, oh, there's 700 people in this portal and there's maybe 100 spots available. And then once you're in the portal, like, you can't go back to the same school. Really, I mean, you can, but it's like your teammates looking at you like, hey, you didn't really want to be here until you realize really this is the only. So I don't know. That's one thing is I give him a lot of credit on a lot of this stuff. He doesn't like any of it, and he's been vocal about it, but he's right on a lot of that stuff. I don't know. If schools have to put the money in, that's not shit. Georgia and Alabama, and they got plenty of money. They got plenty of money. It's probably easier for them.
Looks like Nebraska's got the most
Nebraska's
right now.
Like, where they come?
What's going on over there?
You've been to Lincoln, though.
There's nothing. Core, baby.
There ain't nothing else there.
There's nothing in Lincoln. from Lincoln to Omaha, there's nothing but the University of Nebraska.
That's true.
Right?
No
So you're
building
gonna
over
have
2 stories.
And then, if the NIL stuff too is like, if you're a donor, do you want to, you could give your money to the school and get some value that way as a donor, or do you give it to this collective where I don't know what the value is to me giving my money to a collective all the time? Like, unless I know the people facilitating it and how they're negotiating these deals, who's writing these contracts, how is this stuff all happening? Like, I don't know. It was like they let it go. And then they kind of thought, oh man, I think we should have thought about this some more. And now it's like, well, you got kids getting paid by Gatorade. It's not, good luck getting Dr. Pepper to stop their NIL program.
Right.
WWE.
Dr. Pepper commercials are great, by the way.
They're wonderful. Yeah. Except for the one kid, DJ. What's the kid that actually transferred from Clemson? DJ Williams? Yeah. No, the kid from.
We just got his coach. We just got his coach from Oregon
we got his
State,
coach. He was at somewhere, and then he got the Dr. Pepper deal, and worst year of his career, and had to transfer.
This is true. They gave it to Bryce Young. I mean, it's just, it's a lot of pressure that goes along with the money that comes with NIL, obviously now, and we talked about this on a couple shows ago, where quarterbacks are getting pressure from the stand, from fan bases, saying that you're not necessarily good enough. This is why you're seeing Kyle McCord goes 11-1 at Ohio State in the portal, about to go to Nebraska. And hey, it's going to be one of those have and have not scenarios, but it's going to be a while for this to level out. The market's going to eventually level out, but it's we're getting there. Probably like 3 or 4 years away.
Yeah.
No, man. Hey, listen, we
got
appreciate.
to ask real quick before we let him go. What you up to now, Timbo? Obviously,
yes.
Spartan Nation. What are you doing now? Company update. Tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, so still in the East Lansing area. I live in Okemos, work for a company in Lansing, Maynard Casterison. It's actually an accounting firm, and I do all their sales and business development for the firm. So, never thought I'd work for an accounting firm, but it's been great. The company's been in the Lansing area for about 120 years now, in Lansing, Grand Rapids, and so I've been here for about 5 years. And other than that, man, just I got a 12-year-old and a 7-year-old, so I'm in gyms or a gymnastics place. Yeah, I see a swim class. Like, I'm in all that stuff. I'm in all the fun stuff. So I'm, helping coach things with them and driving to games and tournaments and, trying to catch some Michigan State stuff here and there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you spending time with us,
Spartans, man. Two future. What's the kids' names? What's the name?
My son is Tyler and my daughter's Olivia. So
okay, Tyler and Olivia Bograkos.
I'm gonna tell him you said that.
Legacy.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, I appreciate
on that around here.
I appreciate you guys having me on. It's it's always fun to catch up with guys that have gone through it and are still protecting the brand and that Spartan logo. So.
And you did a great job protecting the brand too, especially the OKG, our kind of guy.
No, okay. Okay. I didn't know where you're. I thought I was supposed to know what that was.
That's
sure.
it.
Yeah.
Hey.
No, I appreciate
you definitely are that.
Yeah.
So, hey, we appreciate you joining the show, man. Love to have you back because this season's going to be, a season that you may help us navigate through with basketball we're talking about here. So, going to get through this signing day for football. We would definitely love to have you back. Thanks for joining us.
Let me know. Appreciate it. Just tell Otis, don't text me at 10:45 p.m.
Oh, my God.
Here we go.
Look.
I was sleeping.
You were sleeping. We was just getting off the podcast.
That's the difference. That's the difference.
That's the difference.
All right, guys.
All right, Tim. Appreciate you.
All right. Tim Bograkos. Guys, hey, look, that's a guy who played in your era. And it sounds like, Chew, you have a lot of inside information on Timmy and what he used to do. Number 30. Oh, look at this. 2 30s, and his natural thought, Rick's American Cafe would be my first. Otis, you're the one who called him. Kindred spirits here with Choo Choo.
If you know, you know.
Man, that's awesome.
OKG.
You like that? You got scared, huh?
Yeah, I was like,
our kind of guy. All right, look, guys. Before we wrap up, we got to talk about Jalen Sami, who did declare for the NFL draft. Defensive tackle who transferred in from Colorado, is now going on to greener pastures to the NFL.
Yeah, shout out to Jalen for chasing his dreams. You talk about, when you come to Michigan State, when you go anywhere and you play football, when you play football and you end up, at a major Division I school or anything like that, majority of the time you started off really young playing the game of football, and obviously with the ultimate goal of playing at the next level in the NFL. And, all we can do is wish him good luck, wish him the best of luck. Hopefully he, prepares the right way, goes away, trains, get right, has a great pro day, and all you want is an opportunity. It doesn't matter if you're drafted or a free agent or anything like that. You want an opportunity to step in the locker room. You want to be healthy, and it's all in God's hands from there.
So, hey,
that was very eloquent words of wisdom there.
I mean, he's got the size, that's for sure.
He's got the size, yeah. I feel like, did we utilize his talent or his skill set as we should? Because like a crazy large human being could hold up obviously the gap up front. Did we use him as we should? But like he has really earned his stripes. Obviously, it's the 6th year. He's a vet. So what else are you able to prove? Like just go ahead and try to figure out how to get on that roster for the NFL. So he did his part. I mean, he came in, he embraced the Spartan Dawgs. We had him on the show. He embraced it. The season obviously didn't turn out as it should, but he has some eyes obviously on him, just being his ceiling of a large human being, of a defensive tackle, has some speed. To your point, too, get some training where, will he link back up with Coach Jordan? Like, is there an element where he goes back, keeps some skill set going? And, I saw Coach Jordan giving shout outs to, Jacoby Women and being like his referral, because like this is a guy that had a good, advice or like a breakdown of what he could have been or what could do. So hopefully he lands. But I appreciate the time he wore the green and white, and he really embraced Spartan Nation as his own, coming from Colorado.
Yeah, I think he's a guy who started off fast, kind of had some injuries he dealt with during the season, but then ended really, really strong too in the last few games of the year when he was healthy. Guy who, given the right opportunity with his size and his get-off abilities, got great quickness. Obviously, he's got the size and length, those things that the NFL looks for.
The intangibles.
That's what we're looking for with him. Is he going to have that motor, that just in that drive? Because it's all about you now. It's not about the coaching around you. It's about being able to self-motivate and move forward. Guys, like, we have to touch on this subject, especially now that Jehuu has joined us. But this is something that's been brewing. And I know there was a big debate about the college football playoff and who should be in, who's not, and how Florida State ultimately got screwed. Now, there's a lot of talk about Florida State leaving the ACC conference and potentially coming to the Big Ten. Now, right now, the Big Ten sits at 18 teams. It looks like they're looking to add, if they're going to add any, they're going to add 2 to make it even, right? So it's not going to be an odd number. What do you say about the possibility of Florida State Seminoles being a Big Ten school?
Otis is speechless. What are you speechless about?
Like, this is no longer this is not a conference realignment. This is an expansion, my brother. Like, this is a screw out, like, takeover of the nation, which great, from a standpoint of Big Ten prowess. And if they didn't get left out, would we be having this conversation? I don't think so, right, from the CFP. But now that we're going to be expanding the CFP and the playoff to 12, will they still decide to, stay in the ACC? But they also are looking at that money, that obviously that network money. Like, you're looking at, like, I mean, they got that. Like, we can bring in another foe or another person. I would assume they would bring Miami, the U, because of like a rivalry added on there, and then you got that, which would be crazy.
Man,
this is
that Hard Rock Stadium be full every weekend.
Hard Rock Stadium ain't gonna be full.
Man, Wisconsin,
I don't-
Miami,
yeah.
you kidding me?
Yeah, with
Full.
visiting fans. With visiting
That's
fans.
what I'm
it'll be
saying.
full with,
Yeah, no,
that
not
whiny-
home fans. No,
That
no,
whiny
no,
cheese
no,
crowd
no.
down there.
No.
I don't think we give this
Visitors.
legs just yet. I don't think we should even spend. We shouldn't give this legs just yet because you still got to go through all this crazy due process. But to put the name out there,
Yeah,
and
but
the
this is
rumor,
what it is. We're
Yeah,
just
I get
reporting
it.
the
I
news.
get it.
They hurting right now. They just lost
Yeah,
that girl. They just lost that one girl there that now they're trying to think of anything. Now they're gonna go bust the windows out the car. They're gonna be like,
Oh, they
What a
Cuba
Jasmine-
Gooding, they punch in the air.
A Jasmine Sullivan reference.
You're right. They're gonna go
the
drive by the
windows
house to see if there's a new car parked up front. They're going through it right now. With all these different
Because
ideas,
they suing the CFP.
They're suing.
They
They're thinking
now
about
regret-
boycotting. They all these different. They're hurting right now. Can they grieve, Trey? Let them grieve.
Hey man, look, Michigan. The Big Ten is adding the 4 teams next year, going to 18. I just thought it would be worth mentioning. There's other teams on the table that could join Florida State. You mentioned one.
I don't want Clemson in there. I don't want Dabo Swinney anywhere
Why?
near. Dabo's a fraud. He's a hypocrite. Dabo is he's talking about NIL. He's so against the players being empowered. That's his biggest fear is players being empowered, and he's talking about I'll do it for free, and then every year he's signing an extension. Why don't you coach for free then, Dabo?
So we're
Tell us how you
holding the
really
whole
feel.
university out for one coach.
Yes.
I thought he was in line to be the successor to Nick Saban at Alabama. I'm like,
well, they say from I don't know if you guys talked about it, but they say this is the last year for Nick now.
every year they've been saying that for the last 8 years anyway.
This is the first year that I've heard it.
Unless
This
he
is the
wins
first-
that natty, which is like
Right
off into the sunset.
You go retire in Tallahassee.
Tallahassee.
Oh man,
He just bought a $20 million house somewhere.
No,
in
just to
Florida.
rub it into Florida State because they
Oh,
didn't
just
get
go
in
up there, drive his Ferraris around
Yeah,
Tallahassee
yeah,
with his triple cup.
right.
Y'all don't know about the triple cup?
Like Trip Cup.
Yeah. So the other schools are North Carolina, obviously you said mentioned Miami, Florida, Virginia, Clemson,
I can see
and
Virginia. I can see Virginia coming in.
Notre Dame.
I would another play flight school. So yes, go ahead.
What, Virginia?
Come on. Yeah, let's
Yeah, I
go.
can
Let's
see-
come and
What
bring
you
it.
say about, is that Notre Dame?
Notre Dame. They can go lay down somewhere.
I'm not-
Go lay down somewhere.
So Chu said Clemson's out, Notre Dame's out. Chu?
Yeah.
so you'll take for basketball purposes, but even football.
Notre Dame's scared of
North Carolina.
competition.
I'm not saying North Carolina, and Virginia.
Yeah.
I would say those two, like one of those two, North Carolina, Virginia, but Florida State. That's a good institution. Look at institution. Let's look at the institution itself.
Mhm.
That's
then
what
you
the
got
Big
North
Ten looks
Carolina.
at.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at the prowess of that, the respect factor. Those two, I think, could add a good flow. But just know, like, I'm thinking about just logistics and operations and travel budgets. Like,
Don't worry about that. Ain't nobody worried about that. Washington is playing against Miami tomorrow. That's what it is. We got the soccer team, the softball team.
all right,
It's no big deal. No big deal.
all right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
figure it out. Logistics.
until you start cutting sports teams. So they go like, all right,
Right.
Yeah.
and we got to be equitable in sports and women's sports and men's sports. So,
Hey, that's
well, yeah,
rough.
we'll put a bow on that.
Yes. Yeah. See, that's when. See, Otis is seen behind the curtain, and he can't unsee it.
Yeah.
There's too much going on back there.
He saw how those sausage are made and the hot dogs are made. He's like, man,
Y'all don't want that.
And y'all out there I'm just consuming.
right? Exactly.
And I'm like,
Right. Watch it. No, listen, guys. Look, there's a lot to talk about, obviously, going on. And next week, when we come back, for our live shows, we're going to be touching on what's going on with signing day, because that's happening. A week from today, the signing day will have kicked off the day before. So next Wednesday, December 20th, is when Michigan State will be doing its signing day. The National Letter of Intent, the early signing period opens up. So all eyes on that. Got a big official visit weekend coming up, and Michigan State basketball faces Baylor. Let's hope that they can pull off a big, this will be a huge win for Michigan State basketball, guys. So look, until we get to next week, for Otis Wiley, Jehuu Caulcrick, I'm Jason Strayhorn. This is Sparta MSU. Have a good night. God bless, and go green.
Go white.
Go White.
This is Sparta MSU is a combined presentation of Playfly Sports Properties and Michigan State Sports Properties. The show is produced by Tony LaBarbera, Tony Gustella, and Process Driven Consulting. Additional support is provided by Brendan Duravage. On-location technical support provided by Good Fruit Video. Be sure to follow our host Jason Strayhorn, Jehuu Caulcrick, and Otis Wiley on social media. To stay up to date with all the latest This is Sparta news, please like and subscribe by visiting our link tree, and tell a friend to do the same. Thank you for your support, and as always, go green.